So that takes us to Indiana, which I think everyone agrees right now has gone from, a team that made the playoffs last year, lost in the first round. They were building all these young pieces, of course, Caitlin Clark, to now an immediate contender with all the moves that they've made. I think is the one that, for most people, took it to another level. So now you're like, oh, they're a contender. Changed. I'm sure the way they're approaching this season has changed. I think the biggest part of DB joining this team is that she's already played for Steph. So I think that's going to help bridge the gap, because as we go along, we're going to talk about Vegas and Seattle, Atlanta. It's really going to be which
Stephanie
team.
White being the head coach of,
right. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Thank you.
Was the head coach of Connecticut, now the head coach of Indiana.
Yeah.
Did Sue Bird just crown the Indiana Fever as WNBA royalty before the season even tips off? The WNBA legend, known for her calculated takes and championship pedigree, didn't just praise the Fever's free agency moves. She practically declared them title contenders, sending shockwaves through the entire league. And with Caitlin Clark in the mix, is an MVP trophy already within reach. Buckle up, because Sue Bird didn't hold back, and what she said about the Indiana Fever will have you rethinking everything you thought you knew about the WNBA.
So Sue Bird is one of the greatest point guards of all time in the WNBA. And she's someone who obviously is a part owner in the Seattle Storm. So hyping up another team is a bit of a conflict of interest, if we're being honest.
For years, the Indiana Fever were, well, let's be honest, they were an afterthought. A young team with promising pieces, sure, but consistently on the outside looking in at the real contenders. Playoff appearances were fleeting, and championship dreams felt distant. But everything changed this offseason. Suddenly, it's not just about building for the future, it's about winning now. The arrival of Caitlin Clark, the NCAA's all-time scoring queen, ignited a spark, but it's the strategic free agency moves that followed that truly transformed the Fever from a developing squad into a team generating serious title buzz. Sue Bird, a woman who's seen it all and won it all, saw this transformation and didn't mince words. The Indiana Fever aren't just improved, they're a legitimate threat to the WNBA throne.
Indiana Fever team.
They getting paid anyway?
That are no, but players who will be free agents next year. There's a lot of other going on that players are like, this ain't where I want to be.
But hold on a second, is this hype just about Caitlin Clark, the generational talent, the record breaker, the player who can seemingly shoot from another zip code? Absolutely. Clark is a game changer, a box office draw, and the face of a potential WNBA revolution. But Sue Bird, a basketball genius if there ever was one, isn't swayed by hype alone. She's seeing something deeper, something more fundamental. It's not just Caitlin, it's the veterans surrounding her. Natasha Howard, a former defensive player of the year and three-time WNBA champion, brings elite defense and a winning mentality. Danana Bonner, a versatile scorer and champion, adds experience and a proven track record. And Sydney Colson, a beloved veteran with championship rings, brings leadership and infectious energy. These aren't just role players, these are proven winners, players who know what it takes to climb the mountain and reach the summit. Sue Bird understands that championships aren't won by one player alone. They're forged by a collective, a team with experience, leadership, and a shared hunger for victory.
Sophie Cunningham is there to be basically the enforcer. She played a lot of the 5 at Phoenix. She literally played 1 through 5. She guarded 1 through 5 at Phoenix. There is maybe a not more versatile glue player in the WNBA than Sophie Cunningham. There are better players, there are more versatile players, but no more versatile glue players in 100k a year than Cunningham. She's almost a one of a kind in what she does.
And orchestrating this potent mix of youth and experience? Stephanie White. This isn't some random coaching hire. This is a calculated move, a strategic masterstroke. Stephanie White isn't just a coach, she's a chemist, a builder, and a winner. Crucially, she already has a deep connection with Danana Bonner, having coached her before. This pre-existing chemistry is invaluable, allowing Bonner to seamlessly integrate and maximize her impact. White knows how to manage expectations, how to harness talent, and most importantly, how to win. Sue Bird recognizes that White isn't just a coach, she's the architect of this Fever resurgence, the one who can mold these pieces into a cohesive, championship caliber unit. She's the secret weapon that could unlock the Fever's full potential.
What the Indiana Fever did last night got me so excited. The Fever, if you haven't been paying attention, they are really active in ensuring that Caitlin Clark and company have a true contending lineup next season. They have Caitlin Clark, they have Aaliyah Boston. They made sure that they re-signed Kelsey Mitchell. That was a big one. They acquired both Natasha Howard and DeWanna Bonner. They traded for Sophie Cunningham. They still have Lexi Hull. And now they have made a move that is literally my favorite of WNBA free agency. They have signed Sydney Colson, face of the WNBA. If you know, you know.
So why is Sue Bird so convinced that the Fever can contend right now? It boils down to one crucial factor: chemistry. In a league where super teams are assembled overnight, loaded with talent but lacking cohesion, the Fever have a distinct advantage. They're not starting from scratch, they're building upon a foundation. Caitlin Clark steps into a system that already suits her play style. Aaliyah Boston, already a dominant force, doesn't need to adjust her game. Bonner is reunited with a coach who understands her strengths, while other teams are spending valuable time figuring out rotations, learning tendencies, and developing chemistry. The Fever are poised to hit the ground running. They have a head start, a built-in synergy that could be the difference between a slow climb and a dominant season right from the jump. Sue Bird sees this advantage, this ready-made chemistry, and understands its immense value in a league where time is of the essence.
And Kelsey Mitchell's balling, Caitlin continuing to impress, and she's going to break records nonstop for the next couple years. Yeah. It's just going to be a constant record break.
Yeah.
Adding even more spice to this already potent mix are Sophie Cunningham and Sydney Colson. Cunningham isn't just a shooter, she's grit personified, a fearless competitor who will get in your face, drain a three in crunch time, and set the tone with her intensity. And Colson, she's pure vibes, pure leadership, and pure championship DNA. She's the veteran glue, the locker room spark, the player who elevates everyone around her, even from the bench. These aren't just talent acquisitions, they're culture additions. Cunningham brings the fire, Colson brings the fun and wisdom, and together they amplify the Fever's intangible assets, making them more than just a collection of skilled players. They become a team. The WNBA landscape is officially on notice. Sue Bird's endorsement wasn't just a casual compliment, it was a declaration. It was a signal to the rest of the league. Pay attention to Indiana. The Fever have gone from being a team opponent circled as an easy win to a team they now fear. Every move they've made, every player they've added screams intent. They're not just hoping for success, they're hunting it down. The league thought they had time, thought Indiana was still years away, thought Caitlin Clark would need time to adjust. Sue Bird's take and the Fever's actions have shattered that illusion. The question now isn't if the Fever will be good, but how good and how quickly. Are other teams truly ready for this sudden surge of Fever hype and Fever talent? The answer, according to Sue Bird, might be a resounding no. So, back to the burning question. Caitlin Clark MVP, championship dreams in year one? It sounds audacious, maybe even premature, but Sue Bird isn't one for hyperbole. Her belief in the Fever isn't based on blind faith, it's rooted in what she sees. A team stacked with talent, strategically coached, and brimming with belief. The pressure is immense, the hype is deafening, and the expectations are sky high. But as Sue Bird points out, the scariest thing in sports isn't just talent, it's talent with belief, talent with momentum, talent that's been told they're not ready and decides to prove everyone wrong. The Indiana Fever, fueled by Caitlin Clark's brilliance and surrounded by a supporting cast of champions, are radiating that dangerous energy. Are you ready to believe the hype? Because Sue Bird certainly does. And when Sue Bird speaks, the WNBA listens, and maybe, just maybe, an MVP trophy and a championship banner are closer to Indiana than anyone dared to imagine.